Hello, and thanks for joining me at IT Homelab Online. In this video, we're going to create a multi-boot USB disk using VHDX files. I use multi-boot USB disks every day. They give me the flexibility to carry multiple running operating systems on a single USB. In the past, I've been limited to having one or maybe two at most bootable USB hard drives due to cost constraints, and I found them to be unreliable and slow. Now I can carry multiple running operating systems on a single USB. I'll typically have 3 to 4 on a single external USB drive, and on one drive I currently have 8. I typically have a main operating system, which is Windows 11. I have a recovery operating system, which has several paid licensed recovery tools and several others. Again, you just need to make sure you select the right size so you have enough space to store them all. We'll go into the size constraints a little in this video. Now, you can also multi-purpose this disk and use it for storage as well. Now, let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is a working computer, ideally with a fast USB-C port. Next, you'll need an external drive. Your selection of disks impacts the performance and flexibility. See all the links below for the hardware that I'm using. So for my main setup, I use a Samsung 990 Pro 1TB NVMe in a Yoda Master M2 NVMe SATA enclosure. You can really use any NVMe drive and any NVMe enclosure, but you will get different levels of performance. For this exercise, I'm going to use a 256 gig NVMe with an unbranded enclosure. Most of the enclosures will come with a USB cable. Some will come with a USB to USB-C. If that's the case, you may need to get a USB-A to C adapter so that you can use it on the old school USB drives. Okay, so once you've assembled your NVMe drive into its enclosure, you'll need to wipe it and create a couple of partitions. We'll do this by using DiskPart. You can use PowerShell, however, I found DiskPart to be a bit more intuitive. So plug in the external drive, open the command prompt as administrator, and say yes. Now, at the command prompt, we type in DiskPart. Okay, now what we want to do is type in list disk so we can find out what disks are available. Okay, now you need to be really careful here because if you select the wrong disk, you could potentially wipe your entire laptop and not be able to use it. So we're going to select disk 1. As you can see, that's the 223 gig, which is the external drive that we're using. Okay, now the next step is to wipe it. The command that we use is called clean. This wipes all the partitions, all the formatting, everything. So again, be really careful, make sure you've selected the right disk before you proceed with this. So type clean and hit enter. Okay. Now, what we need to do is convert the disk to a GPT format so that it's EFI bootable by typing in the command convert GPT. That was successful. Now what we want to do is create a partition that's 200 meg in size for the EFI. It doesn't have to be huge, and this is basically our boot menu for our Windows operating systems. So we create partition EFI size equals 200 meg. Okay, then we just need to format that. We can do a quick format there. Okay, now we need to create a partition that we're going to store all of our operating system images on. So we'll create a partition primary. And we're going to format that with the NTFS file type. And we'll do a quick format there as well. Now we don't need to worry about setting the size of the second partition. We're using the remainder of the disk, and we can shrink this later if we need to add another partition or if we want to install a Linux distribution as well. Now that the external drive is partitioned and formatted, we're going to create a virtual disk or VHDX file to boot from. So if you open up File Explorer, then under this PC, and first of all we will mount it. So we need to assign a drive letter for the partition that we just created, and it's assigned drive letter D for us. So now we're going to the D drive. Now I like to keep my bootable VHDX files in the one location so they're easy to locate. So we'll do a new folder. I use the same naming convention across the board for all of my bootable USB drives, and I use the folder name !boot VHDX. The reason I use the exclamation mark is to place it at the top of the list alphabetically when I'm doing a folder sort, and it also just gives me a little bit of a warning to say that I need to be careful if I go into that folder and start doing any sort of file management. Okay, so now we're going to switch back to our command prompt, and we're going to type in the following command. Now, what that's done is it's created a virtual disk in the boot VHDX folder on the D drive called main.vhdx. The type is expandable, which means it can start out small and then grow as needed. The maximum size is 20 gig. Now, the reason why we set the maximum size so small is because when you boot from a VHDX file, it will automatically expand the disk to the full capacity. So if you create a virtual disk that's say 500 gig, then when we boot from it, even if you're only using 20 gig, it will block out 500 gig of space while it's running. Now, if you have a 1 terabyte drive, you may not think that's important. However, the purpose of the exercise is to have multiple bootable VHDX files on the same disk. So we've created our 20 gig file. We go into here and confirm that it's been created, and it has, and you can see it's only using 4 meg of data at this stage. Okay, so what we now need to do is to attach that so we can start working with it. If I could type attach correctly. Okay, now if we come back to our File Explorer, go back to this PC, it hasn't created anything yet. What we need to do now is create a primary partition on that disk. We need to format that partition. And again, we're formatting as NTFS format. We'll do a quick format. Okay, that was successful. Now it hasn't assigned a drive letter for us yet, so we're going to assign a drive letter, and we're going to use the drive letter X. And you can see now we have a 20 gig drive called X drive. Now, the reason why we're assigning drive letter X is just so that we know what the drive letter is. So when we do some of our commands later, the Windows operating system will be installed onto X drive. Okay. Now, next we need to apply the operating system to the virtual disk, because if you have a look now, it's an empty disk. So what we will do is we will exit from disk part, and we will mount our USB ISO media. So I've downloaded Windows 11. So if we double click that, that has now been the virtual CD drive or ISO has been mounted under drive letter E. So what we'll do is we'll get a list of the available operating systems to install. So you can see there's quite a few indexed here. The one that we're targeting is index 6, which is Windows 11 Pro. Okay, so what this will do is it will apply the image. It'll use the image file found on our E drive, which is our virtual CD-ROM drive, in the sources folder, and the file is called install.win. We'll apply index 6 that we've chosen up here, which is Windows 11 Pro, and we'll apply it to the X drive, which is the empty VHDX image file that we created. So we'll hit enter. Now that will take a little while to apply. So what I will do is I will pause the video and we can resume once it's done. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to create a boot entry for the disk that we've imaged. So we need to go back into disk part, select our disk again, have a look at our partitions. Okay, so select partition 2, and then we need to assign a drive letter. So I'm going to assign the letter Y, again just for my script. Okay, now once we've done that we can exit out of disk part, and we want to type the command vcd boot xcol/windows. So that's the Windows image that we want to boot from, and we're going to assign that to a menu item on the letter Y. Okay, so that's been created successfully. Now what we're going to do, which is probably not that important if you only have the one bootable VHDX file, is we're going to just set a description for that boot entry. So I've told it to use the store on drive letter Y, it's in this path. Set the default entry, so when you add a new entry, it automatically sets it as the default, and we're changing the description to main. Okay, you should get a message to say that it's been successful. Okay, now once that's completed, it's a good time to make a duplicate, just in case you want to reuse the same image. So what you can do to do that is go back to your File Explorer. You should be able to right click on the VHDX drive, which is drive X in this case, and hit eject. Okay, so now what you can do is you can go into your main storage area, into the boot VHDX folder. Now what I tend to do is create a new folder in here, and I call that masters. Then copy this main file into the masters folder. It's a copy, not a move. If you move it when you restart, it won't boot because the file will be gone. And then once that's finished copying, we'll rename that to something more meaningful than just main. We'll call it Win11 22H2, which is based on the image that I used to create it in the first place. So we'll just give that another minute and a half. And as I said, if you're using the Samsung 990 1 terabyte drive, this would be a lot faster, um, running through USB-C, of course. Okay, that's finishing up now. Okay, so I'll rename that. And then I can copy that and reuse that later. So we've still got our main in here. We can close that, we'll do a restart. Okay, so once you've restarted, go into your boot menu, select your USB device and hit enter. And you'll see now this is booting off your external USB stick. And it's setting it up because it is detecting new hardware because it's a raw operating system with nothing installed on it. So once it gets through this process, it will go to the normal screens for setting up brand new operating system. Step your way through those, and once you've done that, you can install any software you like. As I said, I use multiple VHDX files for different purposes. I have a main one for browsing, writing documents, that sort of thing. I have a separate one for recovery. And yeah, the world is your oyster. There are no real limitations. So if you feel like you've had some value out of this video, please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see more, please see the links below. Thanks for watching.